joining. So let people come as they come. So we'll just have a small recap on what we had last sessions. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so just a recap, we started with Azure DevOps, and then we discussed about why people wanted to go for Azure DevOps, and then the problem statement that we had with the previous model, the waterfall model, and then people wanted to make deliveries, faster to the market. So people wanted for a solution where they can quickly deliver things to the market, and that was the rise of Agile. And to implement Agile, we needed some tool to get stuff out of the market. So for that, we had a lot of options, and then Azure DevOps was one of the key service offered by Microsoft that can help people and companies deliver software quickly to the market. And it also has various features, as we saw in the first slide. It offers, helps us to manage our resource control mechanism, and then it offers us to build and deploy things faster, and also have some test plan run when your developers push their code into the server. So all these features are offered by Microsoft in DevOps services. And today what we're going to cover is the pipeline in practical. So last session we discussed about the agents, like the two types of agent, the self-hosted agent and then the Microsoft hosted agent. So those who want to have their build servers on their premises can go with self-hosted agent, so where people can have n number of build servers, so they don't have to wait for the Microsoft resources to be available. So the problem between these two services is that when you go for Microsoft hosted agents, you would have a wait time, because they'll allocate resources based on the queue. So that way, when you're using Microsoft hosted agent, you will have to wait till your resources gets allocated, or the resources gets allocated to you. For self-hosted agents, you can have any number of agents as you want. Like it is like you are creating your own infrastructure with the build server to facilitate the build and deployment for your applications. So for that purpose, we have self-hosted agents. Probably in this session, we are going to cover how we can develop a build pipeline and then have the deployment and releases to the platforms like the app services or virtual machines. It could be virtual machines in Azure, or it could be your on-premises VM, or AWS VM. So anything can be deployed through Azure DevOps. So with that said, we'll just dive into the pipeline creations. Last week, we discussed about how we can create branches and then the various branching strategies to manage your branches. And we also, some of the members had shared how branching strategies works for them. So how they are solving their problem with the use of branching strategies. So branching strategies helps a lot more ways for the teams to effectively manage their branches and releases. So if you don't have any branching strategies in place right now, I would definitely insist you to go with Gitflow or any custom branching strategies that you would prefer for your projects. So that way you would keep your branches clean and effective ways to deploy your applications to various environments like UAT test or production environments. So there are a couple of ways we can build pipelines in DevOps. One is with the classic editor, and then the other one is with the YAML pipeline. So YAML pipeline is nothing but a concept of infrastructure as a code, where you would just give everything as a code and you would get resources allocated. So with that said, I'll just hand over things to Praiseson. So he would walk us through how we can create pipelines in Azure DevOps with YAML pipelines, and we can also create or deploy the application to the target machines or the services. For example, in this case, we can see how we can deploy or how we can create the pipeline and take our project deploy to the services like app services or the VMs. So he'll also be covering deployment groups. So yes, so probably you can stop us anywhere you want to ask any questions or need more any clarifications. All right, so with that, over to you, Praiseson.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepan. So as Deepan mentioned, so we're gonna create a pipeline right now. So as you all see, so this is a list of Azure DevOps. I mean, the services that Azure DevOps currently provides. So we have repo, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. So as discussed, so we're gonna start creating a pipeline. So in that we're gonna create by.
So sorry to interrupt you, Present. So maybe I keep interrupting you over the time you're presenting the session.
Okay.
So when does this pipeline get available? So are these available only for the repositories, or is it available at the project? So where does the scope sit for this one?
I mean,
So can this be done for the repository, or let's say that you have a lot of projects in your solution. So should we create a pipeline for each project, or should we create a pipeline for a solution, or how can we do that?
So we create a pipeline for a solution. So we can manage the projects in the pipeline YAML file itself. So based on the filtering part, so we can able to mention like which project you like to build. Whenever any changes you made on a particular project file means, we can also include that in the YAML file, and based on that, the pipeline will be automatically triggered.
Okay, got you. So in a solution, if you have a solution with a lot of projects, you'll be able to create pipelines for each project. So can we also have multiple deployments included within a single YAML file?
Yeah, you can have
Okay.
like that. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Great. Thanks.
thanks. So here's when we create a new pipeline means we have some multiple options like where to connect. So currently have already a repo. Pushed to this Azure DevOps. So I have pushed a Blazor app right now. So uh, that has been moved to this repo. So I'm currently gonna deploy this to an Azure app service. So for this, I'm gonna create a new pipeline. So
Okay, so you have already created a project and
Yep.
pushed to the repository,
Yep.
right? Okay, so that's a Blazor application that we have already created and pushed that to the Azure repository.
Yep.
So we are just going to build a pipeline and deploy that Blazor app to the target server.
Yep.
Okay, got you.
So this is currently the repo which we have created for that Blazor app. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to configure our pipeline based on in which platform like .NET Core or .NET Desktop, or currently I'm going to go with startup pipeline right now, where it has a list of tasks. So I've already made some pipeline before this.
Wonderful.
release.
So we are starting from the scratch
Yeah.
with the YAML file, right?
Yep. I'll explain each line. So okay, so this is the starting of that. So first is the trigger. So you may ask like what is trigger? So this pipeline might be how this pipeline will automatically trigger is based on this command only. So trigger only on the master branch. So we can have multiple branches here. So like develop or staging or integration like that. So those have been included here, as well as in below we can also include based on, as Deepan mentioned. So we have multiple projects, and we want to trigger it based on a particular project means we can have it like include, and we must mention the project CS project file name. So based on that also it will automatically trigger the pipeline.
Okay, so meaning we can define the target branch to monitor. So if there is any change onto that particular branch, then this pipeline would trigger, right?
Yep.
Okay, so and also you mentioned that if the pipeline can also look for any changes in a particular project, and if that happens to be a change, then this can be triggered. And if not, probably if the changes are there in any of the other projects, this would not trigger.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
And then let's go on to the next point. So this is a full. So this is where we mentioned, Deepan mentioned like the agents, right? So we have created a pipeline. So the pipeline that needs an agent. So agent is nothing but a machine. So machine or a software that is able to run our tasks in the pipeline and deploy, able to build our solution as well as deploy it to the particular server. So currently we are using Windows later. So that is means, so I mean the hosted agent. So I mean the Microsoft hosted agent. So
Okay. So just to add more thoughts onto the pool, so what President has covered is we can go with the Microsoft hosted agent. Right now, what you see here is the VM image Windows latest, which means that we are asking Microsoft to allocate some compute resources or resources for the build to complete. So there is other way where we can use our own agents. So for example, DevOps has some feature called agent pools under which you can create your own agent. So for that, you would just go to the project. So I'm
below.
just opening that in a new tab,
Okay.
and you would go to project setting, and you would see agent pools in here, in which you'll be able to add agent pools. So for example, you click on add pool, then you would create a new pool, and then so self-hosted is what we actually do. So meaning it means that we are creating our infrastructure, or we are using our infrastructure for all the build and deployment purposes. So create a pool of custom agents hosted on your own infrastructure for maximum control flexibility. So when is the use case for using self-hosted agents? So in cases like if you have any software dependencies or any frameworks that your, for example, you say you have your application which is dependent on a particular assembly, or a framework, or a library which is installed on that particular server. So and you don't have that package available in the NuGet packages. In these scenarios, you can opt for self-host agent. So meaning you would have all those dependencies pre-installed on those servers, and the build server would just build things and then complete the deployment. So that is the concept of self-host agent. So you would just create it, and then once the agent is created, it would generate a script, basically a PowerShell script, and if you can copy that script and install it onto your VM. The VM could be your on-premises VM, or it could be Azure VM. So whichever the VM you are installing that script, that machine will get registered onto this agent pool. So which means that you can use that agent pool for your build and deployment purposes. So this is where you would create agent pool. So we are not going deep into how we can create agent pool, all those steps. We are focusing on the pipelines for this session. And if anybody wants to go in detail about how we can create self-hosted agents, we can cover that in a separate session. So coming back to the pipeline configuration.
Yep. One other thing, I mean, on the agent side, so currently we are using, I mean, the Windows, I mean, the Microsoft hosted agent, right? So we may run into some errors like, I mean, if you are trying at home, or we may run into some errors like hosted parallelism. So why? Because currently we are using the Windows, I mean, the hosted agent, right? So they may not allocate for everyone. So I mean, since it's a free platform, so they cannot allocate for everyone. So we need to, I mean, for some users may the pipeline, I mean the agent will be available. For some users that may not be available. They ran into errors like hosted parallelism, I mean when we try to I mean run the pipeline. But to avoid, to clear that error, we need to, I mean, mail Microsoft, I mean, that you need a hosted parallelism for your account. So that is a one step, when you are using the Microsoft hosted agent. So after that request, I mean, maybe 10 to 13 days, you can go ahead and try your pipeline again. So that may resolve that issue. So that is the one fallback on the, I mean, this Windows hosted agent. So for to avoid that only, I mean, as Deepan mentioned, so we are using self-hosted agent, I mean, where our own VM as an agent. So agent is nothing but a machine where our pipeline runs. So that is the one thing. And on the next point, so there is this is where a common term, a variable. So developers to know like variables like solution and build configuration. So I'm currently using this variable, so I can reuse again and again in my tasks. So task and steps. So each pipeline, so each YAML file we have like steps. On steps we can, that belongs to a task. So this YAML file is almost similar to JSON structure. So but the difference is that here we have some indentation. So like the step belongs to the task, and task has some inputs like that. So we have some indentation. So based on that only this entire YAML file is running. And so yeah, first let's go with the first step. So first step is this task. So currently what this task is to use .NET task. So package type is SDK. So you may ask why this package type we are using. So currently we are using Windows, the Microsoft hosted agent, right? So they may not install the .NET 9 version. So which I've created my project right now. So to use my to use my uh, application to run. So I need to install this package that is .NET 9 version. So since it is an Windows hosted agent, right? So I need to use this command. If you are a self-hosted agent, means we can use the we can install that visual the SDK in our VM itself. So that's
Okay, so I have a question, present. So up above you have shared the variables, right? So these are the variables that we can use through the ML pipeline.
Yeah.
And when it comes to task, how do I know which task to use? Like it looks like you have used .NET at 2, and then right after that you use .NET Core CLI at 2. So how do we know what do these tasks do? So do you have any documentation or reference to see what does this task do?
Yeah. We have Azure pipeline tasks. So sorry. So Microsoft itself provide, the list of task references. So where we can use, different sets of tasks to what are, like deploying as well as, like building as well as publish. So like testing. So each has a separate task in the Azure, Azure Azure pipeline task. So you can able to see this as a reference. So and based on that only I have
Okay,
created those
gotcha.
YAML file. Deepan.
So all the things that we do with Visual Studio, for example, if you try to build the application, it uses MS Build as the software to build the application. So likewise, this task has some predefined EXEs that can perform the operation. Is it correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is an example. So for a build, so the task as well as the command is built. So it's a default. So and we can also mention the solution which is need to be built.
So these are the list of parameters or inputs that we can pass on the task for that to complete. Excuse me. So if it is published, excuse me, if it is a published task, then we can pass more parameters on where we want to get that application to publish. And if we want to pass any custom name for the packages, we can pass it, or where we can look for the source. All these things can be configured with the help of parameters in here, meaning inputs from here. Got you.
Yep. So yeah, then this is the second command. So second task. So that is we have multiple NuGet package, right? So first, instead of before building our solution, we need to restore our NuGet package. So this is the task where we can able to restore our NuGet package. So this is where we mention which project, the solution we are getting the NuGet package and select option. And this is my, the artifacts seed. So. This is where it gets the data, the NuGet data, we store it. And the next command is the build command. So as you mentioned, so each has separate tasks. So based on that, we are building our solution, and arguments is that the build configuration we have made for that particular project. So after that, we have from here, I'm going to stop. So after building our project, we need to publish, right? So we need to publish this to an artifacts, and after that artifacts is published, we are going to use that to that wherever we want to deploy, right? So currently I'm going to deploy my application to an Azure App Service. So
okay.
yeah.
So before moving on to that one, so I have a question in here.
Yeah.
So I see two tasks with the same name, .NET Core CLI at 2. So
Yeah.
how does the system know whether it has to build or if it needs to publish?
So based on the command, command it recognizes event. So
Okay.
I mean build on publish. So based on that command only, it recognizes whether we are building our project or publishing our project like that. So
Okay. So which means that we might also have conditional parameters based on the command, right? So if
Yep.
it is a build command, then it might require certain parameters for the task to complete.
Yep.
And if it is a publish command, then it would take a publish certain parameters to complete.
Yep.
Gotcha. So based on the command that we use for that task would dictate if it needs to build the project or publish the project, all within the same task.
Yep. And the configuration is that we mentioned is that release configuration. So this is where we mentioned that we're gonna release. This is gonna be a release pipeline, and in this publish you can see like this publish your project is equal to these are the default parameters that we need to pass, as well as you see the arguments. So we are getting the build from the build configuration, and then we are output that to the artifact staging director. So artifact staging directors is the where the pipeline will get the data, build data, and like DLLs, so project DLLs. So that is where the build data will be stored in this artifact staging directory.
Okay. So is there a way we can take a look at the artifacts produced by the build
Sure.
step?
Yeah. After
Okay.
the pipeline is successfully published, we can able to get an artifact even.
So where can we find that artifacts, meaning the build outcome? And I see that you have created a pipeline to publish web project, right?
Yep.
So can we also publish Windows applications or console application using pipelines?
Yeah, you can also do like that. This previously I've done pipeline. So when we click on it, so here you can be able to see one publish, right?
Okay.
So this is my app which I've published. So
Gotcha.
When we click on it, it will download the zip file, and based on that you can be able to see the DLLs in zip file.
Great. So all the application components have been bundled together, and it produced a zip file.
Okay.
And the deployment process would just take that zip file and deploy that to the target server.
Okay. For that, to make it as a zip file, we need to use this command like zip after the publish to be true. So by using this command only, this artifacts will be zip file. So that is the command we need to use. After that, we are using to upload that upload that build artifacts to the staging directory. So this this staging directory can be used in the release pipeline, so which I will explain.
Okay, I see the artifact name in here, Blazor app 01,
Yep.
which I saw in the artifacts that you showed.
So we can also name our artifacts here. So and the path to publish. So
okay. So why does it need to be uploaded to the staging folder? So I see that you have the build step and then the publish step. On the publish, you publish all the files produced to the staging directory. So why does it have to be published or uploaded to the staging directory?
So then only it will be available on the release pipeline. So the step is involved. So from here it is zip file. So to available in the release pipeline, we need to upload that. To this artifact staging directory. So
okay.
So before going to the release pipeline, so we're going to create an Azure app service. So Azure app service is nothing but since Azure provides different services, so we are going to use.
Again, sorry to interrupt you, President.
Yeah.
I'm going to be asking a lot of questions throughout this session.
Okay.
So now that we have got the build pipeline completed, right? So can we just see whether this pipeline is executing successfully or producing the build successfully? Can we save this and run?
Yeah.
I believe this is a new pipeline you have created, right?
No, there's a. Yep, there's a new
yes.
pipeline.
Can you just hit save and run?
Yeah, sure. Okay. You're committing directly with the master branch. We can add some descriptions or comments here. So before anything you newly added or any changes in the YAML file means we can mention that, and we can save. So
okay. So just for demo purposes, we are committing directly that to the master branch. But in general, it is not advisable to take your changes directly to the master branch because it is considered the working version of the application. So usually people will take changes to a staging branch or to feature branch, and then once that is verified and tested, then they would take it to the master branch. So that's for the purpose we are committing that to the master branch. Doesn't mean that we'll have to use it for all the tickets.
Yep. So
All right, so we can see the list of steps in here.
Yep.
And all the steps. Okay.
Um,
So meanwhile, let's say that my application has a lot of dependency. Let's say a lot of packages referenced from NuGet packages or some other sources. So how can we inject all those dependencies to the pipeline? So is there a way we can try to get all those? For example, let's say that I have my custom feed. So my organization has a custom feed that has a particular library, and I want that library to be available for the build pipeline. So how can we do that step by the pipeline?
I think we need to restore that, and we need to mention the package URL. So not sure.
So can we explicitly call the NuGet reference and restore the packages?
Yeah, I think can able to do like that. So previously we used like in our project we used custom package, right? So
Right.
we used to call like that.
So in general, in applications, we would have packages at config where we maintain all the references to the outside packages or third-party packages, and we'll be able to add a task or inject a task that can restore all those packages for that build to complete. Because in certain cases, some projects may have a dependency to third-party packages or NuGet packages. So Azure also helps us in a way that we'll be able to inject that task. So I think we have a task to reference a NuGet package manager. So using which we'll be able to resolve a particular package reference for the build pipeline.
Yeah. This is the restore command. So where we take our references. So you can able to see the our project file is built right now, and we have published that to our the artifact staging directory. So you can able to see the list of the starting as well as the ending, and currently we have uploaded that to the artifact staging directory. So this is where the pipeline. Currently we have published that pipeline, but we have not released that to the any environment or any application service or right now. So currently we're gonna deploy that to an Azure App Service. So Azure App Service is nothing but a platform as service. So Azure provides different services. So I'm going to use Azure App Service where it provides a platform as a service. So it will provide a separate platform, and in that it has separate RAM, OS as well as different things. So where I can deploy my application there, and I can able to view in a public way. So right now I'm going to show how to create an Azure App Service. So we have two portals to access. So right now this portal is dev.azure.com. So where we have the list of Azure components. So and we have also another portal. So that is Azure portal. So sorry.
It is portal.azure.com.
Portal.azure.com. So where we can create our own resources. So I have already logged in with my user email ID as well as password. So you can log in with this first. This is the first step we need to do while creating any new services in the Azure DevOps. So I have used as a free service. So for every users we have, Microsoft is given, like $2,000. ₹2,000 as an Indian
$200.
Sorry, $200.
Yeah.
So as our Indian currency, it is 20,000 rupees. So you can able to see in the top. So so this is my remaining credit right now. So 17,364. That is what I tried to say. So sorry for that. So $200 is given as a free for every users. That log in the Azure DevOps. So we can able to log in as free. And after that, after this is the first step we need to do. We need to log in into the Azure portal. After that, we need to create a resource. Based on that resource only, we need we can create virtual machines as well as any Azure app service, which I've mentioned right now. So I'm going to create an Azure app service. So it is already I've created, but I will show you for you. So already have created an app service, so I will give you for demo. So we need to create an it has list of we can create a web app or a web app with database, as well as not sure about this, but I'm going to create with the web app right now. And we need to mention, so I've previously said, like, so we need to first create a resource group. So that resource group will be used across different services. So I have already created a resource group, so that is Azure training, and we can give a web app name, any name. So and this is the part where we ran into some errors. Like yesterday, when I tried to, create this web app service, so I tried to use our location, like Southeast Asia, South India. So when I try to, create a web app service, it throws me an errors like we have already allocated a quota. These are, free app services. So we already have allocated a separate service. Services. We have the number of providers have been increased, so that is not available for me. So I will give a
Yes, so each region will have the quota limit. So if the region exceeds the quota limit, then we will not be able to deploy a new service on that region. So we would have to choose for a separate region. And for now, we are going to go with the .NET 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the latest version. So
And we have two offerings, like one is with Linux and the other is Windows. I would go with the Linux because we are having a pretty straightforward application, a Blazor application. And plan, so based on the operating system, the pricing and the plan would differ. So um, it is creating a new plan, service plan, and then these are the pricing tiers for that service plan. So we are going for with very basics, like with
free, yeah. We can also go
one
with free.
CPU, basic V1 tier, which is approximately $13.14 per month. So we are not any CPU or memory intensive application. So I'm just going with the basic plan here. So next is that, so we're not having any database deployment. So we'll just go with the defaults. Yes, we want public access. So we are not going deep into the Microsoft services, meaning the cloud services like app services. So I'm not going into detail onto any of these configurations. So all we want is to create a web app service.
So it may take some time.
So it is going to take a couple of minutes for the deployment to get completed. So meanwhile, this is the deployment to the app service in cloud environment. So what is are we going to cover at present? So like, are we going to cover deployment to the VM as well?
Yeah.
Or
We're going to cover, but right now we have made some changes, but in pipeline and the VM it throw some errors. So I think we can complete with the deployment to the Azure App Service right now.
so while this is getting created, okay, all right. So here we go. So the deployment is complete. Right, OT.
This is a public public URL, so we can able to copy this and paste this URL in the browser. Yes, some time.
Can we switch to the pipeline and see what other environments. So probably we can cover about environments. So the environments is about managing different environments for your organization. Like your organization may contain different environments like test, UAT, prod, or some other environments, and you can manage all your environments within this section. Especially in our case, we are handling or working with the VMs for all the deployments. So what we do is we have three environments: test, UAT, and prod, and we have our VMs registered within those environments. So there are a couple of ways how we can carry out deployment to the target servers. So one is with the pipeline. So within the pipeline task, meaning within the YAML pipeline, you can introduce the deployment job. So deployment can be injected as a job, and you can define your target environments where you want to deploy those resources. So that is one option. And then the other one is to go with releases. So we have a separate area called release, where we can have the similar section but with more UI. So you would have UI to configure your releases and stages and gated check-ins. All those stuff can be configured in releases. And deployment group is something what we have just discussed. Like for example, let's say your organization has or is dealing with a variety of applications, and you want to deploy those applications into groups. Like you might have a large application, and you want that application to be deployed into multiple instances, so for which you can go with deployment groups. So that way, if you have multiple servers within an environment, for example, under test environment, if you have multiple servers, and UAT and prod, if you have multiple servers, then you can go with the deployment groups, where you can create group and register the target machine or the VM into those groups. So that way, when your release pipeline is triggered, your deployment will get deployed onto those deployment groups. So that's what about deployment group is. So the other task about injecting deployment into the pipeline is something different. So there are a lot of deep concepts within the deployment. Like we can achieve zero downtime deployment with some models like canary deployment or other types with which you would not really have deployment for your application. So there are a couple of deployment models like blue green deployment, canary, and then AB deployment. So all these deployment models helps companies to avoid downtime. So usually when we deploy applications to the target server, you would have a downtime for about 5 to 10 minutes, right? So with these deployment models, you can try to reduce the downtime, or even you can bring in zero downtime for your deployment steps. So probably if anybody is interested to work with zero deployment, we can definitely cover that in the future sessions. But for now, we are going to go with app service deployment and then deployment to the target servers using the deployment groups. It looks like that app is loaded.
Right now, there is no content in this app service right now. I mean, so that is why it is showing like your web app is running and waiting for your content. So we need to publish that artifacts which we have built previously, and we need to publish. I mean, get the artifacts, and we need to release that in this. I mean, in this app service right now. So that is what we're gonna currently do.
So this
So
is the default page that you would see when you
yeah,
have
okay,
create a
that
new
is
app
yeah.
service. So just like how you would have a default IIS screen on your Windows machine, this is the default page for your app services.
Yep. This is a default domain name, so we can also change our domain name. So this is a default domain name, so where we can use user in the URL, and we can able to see this app service which we have deployed. So yeah, we can go with the release task. So yeah, so I have already done previous releases here. So I'm gonna go with the new release right now. New release pipeline.
The previous step, we have completed the build process. Basically, you would use various tasks within your pipeline, YAML pipeline, to complete the build stuff. And in here, we are going to define the release for the application. So once the build is completed, how can we deliver applications quickly to the different environments is what is being covered here.
Yep. Taking some time. So templates or which we can deploy our changes. So right now I'm gonna deploy to Azure App Service, Azure App Service deployment, and we can also deploy this to any VM. So for that we can use a separate template. Sure.
Oh, that's nice. So you can also see the various deployment strategies, like as I mentioned, the canary deployment, blue-green deployment, all those stuffs, which is really nice. So that gives us the template, pre-configured templates to carry out the blue-green or canary deployments. So for now, yes, go ahead, Praiseson.
So we're gonna go with the Azure App Service, right? So we're gonna go with Azure App Service deployment. So by default, we have a template. So when we click on apply it, so it will automatically show. So here we need to configure our, which app service.
Why don't we just rename the stage to, let's say, something called release to test or something?
Yeah, okay. So, so far, any questions, team? Okay. So when we click on that task, so we have a particular jobs to run the task, right? So this is a, the deploy Azure App Service task. So here we mentioned the subscription, which we have previously created in the Azure portal. So we have created a subscription, right? So we need to select our subscription. So, and we need to authorize.
This is nice, right? So everything can be done in the UI. You don't have to deal with the
Yeah.
whole pipeline. All those stuff.
Subscription already exist.
Okay,
can
so I have
close.
already,
Press again.
I think I've used the subscription for another pipeline.
You can type in your email and
Okay.
probably.
I think I mean
That's
the
already exists.
ads already exists, so even so that is why it is not allowing me to, I mean, use the same subscription. I think we need to get separate subscription. Or
You can use the same subscription, right?
it's not allowing me. So not sure with the free service. Not sure.
So all these are the same subscriptions. So how about picking any of the existing subscriptions? So meaning whenever we try to create a subscription, what the system will do is it will try to authorize you onto your target cloud provider. For example, if it is Azure, then it will just try to authorize that the proper or the authenticated user is trying to access that resource, and it will create service connection. So service connection is nothing but a mechanism where your DevOps can communicate to the Azure resources for the resource deployment or for any other resource consumption. So these are the service connections that we have already created. So we'll just choose the existing one, and you can continue.
And, we're gonna, I mean, web app is on Linux right now, Deepan, or I mean, you're created on Linux, right? So
Yes.
okay. The web app service name, so which we have previously created, right? So this is the name of the, I think.
Since because we chose Linux as the operating system for our app service, we'll have to select web app on Linux, and selecting that would give us a list of app services available under that configuration.
So we no need to give any startup comment. So this initial setup. So the deployment part is done. So we need to save this. We can add any comments. So by default, it will store. then I mean, the stage is now ready. So, I mean, the release stage is now ready. So, we have made our release stage like after any pipeline is run means it will deploy this to the Azure App Service which we have previously created. For that, we need some data, right? So, which DLLs? I mean, the DLLs we need to deploy to this release, right? So, we need to add. For that, we need to add an artifact. So, artifacts nothing but I mean an output of the publish of the pipeline. So previously we have created a pipeline which we build our solution and publish that, right? So after publishing we get an artifact. So artifact is nothing but a container which stores a list of project DLLs. So this DLL can be used to deploy to the any app services or any VM. So currently we're gonna add an artifact. So adding artifacts that's gonna be built, and the source of the build pipeline Azure training. So the project name. So I mean the project which we have created in the Azure DevOps, and the show source is also Azure training. This is the allies name which we given. So to make this as a continuous integration, so we need one of the steps. So at the top, we have a continuous deployment trigger, right? So when we click on it, you can able to see, I mean, this option to be disabled. So enabling this will automatically trigger the pipeline whenever we push any changes to our branch. Like currently, in this case, we are pushing to master branch. So the trigger is based on the master branch. So whenever we push any changes to the master branch means the pipeline will automatically triggers only when we enable this uh, setting. So, and we can also include some filters. So uh, I mean based on the build we can able to enable some filters. I mean again
For
it's
example, if the source branch is the staging or UAT or
Yep.
master, based on that, we'll be able to trigger all these
Yep.
release pipelines.
Yep. Yeah, we can have a single pipeline instead of creating a separate pipeline for each environment. We can have some filters, and based on that only, we can able to deploy changes to different environments. So that is what Deepan is suggesting. So yeah. After this, so right now we have made this.
Save.
Yeah, we need to save. Thanks, Deepan. So we have saved our changes. So right now it is ready. So whenever we any try to push our changes means it automatically triggers. So
I think you would need to change the trigger to
yeah,
make it on Azure training. So why can't we just rename that pipeline with something more meaningful?
this
Yes.
pipeline.
Can you rename that pipeline? Name it something else?
Would you like to
Blazor app demo.
Yes, not sure.
Okay, now we can go back to releases and have this configured.
So release right. So we have two releases. So this is our new release.
Yes.
This is the previous release which I have created. So this is a new release which we have created right now. So I'm going to edit this. So since we have changed the name, right? So we need to change the artifacts. So okay.
I think you would need to drop that and recreate it since we're not able to edit the pipeline, source pipeline
Yep.
after that has been created.
Yep. We need to drop it. Some cases we need to drop those things. So right now the project is Azure training. In this, the source build is going to be the Azure app demo to give some difference. So yeah. So we need to make this as a continuous deployment. So we need to enable this. And after all the changes, we need to save this. Yep, now it is ready. We can run the pipeline. So we already have I can run by default right now. So I will run this
Okay.
branch. Okay.
Now that you have manually hit the pipeline, right, to
Yeah.
run. So probably the next time when you try to hit, just can you show us a scenario where the user pushes the code changes,
Sure.
and as soon as the code changes have been pushed, the build pipeline has to trigger
Okay.
and
Yep. Sure.
start building things.
So once it is done, so I think I can.
And as you can see here, the status here is queued because Microsoft is trying to allocate some resources for you, but it's not yet available. Once the compute resources are available, then your job will get allocated with the Microsoft compute resources. Now that it is allocated, looks like can just hit on it, Praiseson. All right, so it is being processed or
So-
running. Yes.
You can able to see any errors itself. It will automatically show in this window. We can able to easily detect at which area we are currently running into any errors, as well as it will give clear explanation. So this has been missing like that. So DLL is missing or anything means it will clearly show here itself. So at which stage itself it will provide. So
also it shows us what each task does.
Yep.
Like when you say use .NET, it is trying to grab the latest version of the .NET 9.0. So for example, when you go to use .NET, so it is trying to grab the version 9.0 from the internet, and that uses that as the dependency for our build process.
Yep. Right now, the publish is done, so artifacts will be created. After that, we can able to see the release, so it is automatically running, right?
Wow,
So
nice. So the release pipeline is now triggered.
Yep.
As soon as the build is completed, it is triggered, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Now you can able to see right now we have not
Release is not completed.
not yet completed, so it will not show anything. So yep. You can able to see. I mean, yeah, since we have made this as a continuous deployment, so once the publish is automatically done, it will automatically trigger this release pipeline. So we can wait for some
When it
minutes.
tells us who has triggered the pipeline,
Yeah.
Praiseson has triggered the pipeline on which date and on which artifacts.
So my
right?
artifacts is, my project is the Blazor app, so which is changed as an artifact, since artifacts is used for the pipeline to
Right.
deploy changes. So this is
and you also get the build version right under it.
Yep.
Right?
This is a build version. So for each build, we have different version numbers. So to differentiate that. So
Can you go to this step of present, list to test, and show us the logs, what is being performed? Okay.
yep, you can able to see.
Can you explain the download artifact section on the right side? Can you?
Sorry.
So this is trying to download the artifact that the previous step has published, and you could see the path is set to the private repository like dev.azure.com/Praiseson. This is the project name, and this is where the artifacts were stored. And it is just downloading those artifacts and trying to complete the publish with that artifact. And the changes looks like are being deployed to the app service.
It takes some time even. So yeah.
Okay, looks like successfully deployed web package to app service, and you can see the URL. And you can see the URL where the changes have been published. You could either copy this URL and check, or probably you can directly hit the page right here.
Which we have previously.
Yes.
We can able to run refresh this page, and we can able to see our Blazor app deployed to Azure App Service.
So is this the downtime we're talking about? That
Yep.
It is taking a couple of minutes for the application to come back and available for the users. So we can avoid this downtime or the wait time by adopting some of the deployment strategies.
Like zero downtime.
Yeah.
This build is finished right now. The release is finished right now. So yep. So right now
Wow,
our
hello
application.
world.
Yeah, this is our
First
first
application.
application. So we have deployed our application to Azure App Service right now. So this changes. So, and we can also, as Deepan mentioned, so he needs to, after any changes they made on the master branch and try to push, means the pipeline needs to be automatically triggered, right? So,
Right.
so right now I have manually triggered, right? So I need to open my project right now. The project which I previously created.
Okay, you're going to make a change and push that to the repository
Yes.
to automatically try to invoke the pipelines.
Yes. And so
Probably why don't you just go to pages and the index page, change the no, go to pages folder,
so
and
sorry.
home. So they change hello world to hello easy group or something. Right.
I made a change, so I need to push those. So before pushing those changes, we can make some comments like we have made a change on the index file like that. So just to for our reference, as well as whenever any developers or any QA, they will try to see our comments, means based on the comment itself, they can identify that this changes have been made on this commit. So like that, we can able to inform them. So
People usually don't give more meaningful comments.
okay.
So probably we can try to include, more description to the commit
Okay.
description so that other people would know what has changed
Sure.
and pushed.
So first we need to pull out latest changes. So that is what we're trying to do. So we need to pull, and then only we need to push our changes. So
Great. Changes has been pushed, and now let's see the pipeline has triggered, or if it is not.
yeah, you
Great.
can able to
So
see
looks
two.
like both the pipelines have triggered.
Yep.
Right?
So why it triggers right now is Deepan. So have made this YAML file to be triggered based on the master branch,
Okay.
as well as this pipeline is also config. I mean,
So both are watching the master branch.
Yep.
So when there is any change in the master
any
branch,
multiple yep,
all the pipelines will be
trigger.
triggered.
Yep. Whenever
And we
I
can restrict that to happen to a specific folder by including the branches.
branches.
So probably after the trigger statement, you would include the include statement to specify the branches or the folders that you want to monitor and initiate the build when there is any change. So it can also be done. Right. So I think after this step, the next step would be to get the changes list, right? So
Yep.
which we have already covered.
Yep.
So what else do we have to cover this session, Present? I know we are on time.
So I think by tomorrow we can cover like deploying the changes to the Azure VM. So right now
Gotcha.
we have deployed the changes to Azure App Service. So by tomorrow we can cover how we deploy changes on the app service. The VM. So that's
All right, great. So good show, Present.
Yep.
So I know that we have this session, we have covered the pipeline. How can we create a pipeline, and how can we create a release pipeline and get things out to the cloud environment like the Azure or on-premises or Azure VMs. So tomorrow we would come back and look at the deployment groups, and also we'll see how can we have our own build agents, configured. So there is something called service connections. So this is a place where you would configure things on how the DevOps can communicate to the outside world, like the Azure platform, like the Azure or AWS or any other platform. So for example, if you try to create a new service connection, it would prompt you to select the target, service that you want to connect to. For example, it could be a Docker registry, or it could be a GitHub where your code changes are, and you want to authenticate to GitHub or Jenkins or Jira, for which you can configure all those credentials in here as a service connection, so that your pipeline can use this service connection to connect to the target service like Jira or GitHub. So we'll try to cover this in our next session. And some of you have requested the a document that we have here already. So we are just making final changes to the document, and probably once then we'll circulate that with the team for your reference. So open to questions. So I know we are on time. So if you have any questions, we can discuss.
Hello.
No? All right. So I think
Can you hear me?
Sorry, Praiseson.
Feroz is telling something.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, yes, Feroz.
Okay. Actually, session is good, too good, and
Should we increase the volume?
Sorry, I can't.
can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Okay. Session is good and informative, and then I had a question about the payment. You said that 17,000. Will it has any expiry or how it is?
30 days expiry, Feroz.
Okay. So, in case of expiry, let's say I had not used it, can I reuse it anyway, or I have to create a new account and do it?
By 30 days.
What is this question?
So his question is that I've created a free account, right? So in the Azure portal, so which we have $200 as a there is expiration date, right? Deepan? So 30 days. So he asking whether I'm not using for 30 days, can we use it again for the?
No, I think that is the time frame we have, and not I think restricted to 30 days. You would have more time than that. So probably I'll take a look at that and let you know. But $200 is the credits that they offer for people to get started. On the timeline, I don't think it is really 30 days. It is more than that. But I can share the exact time frame with you
Okay.
after this meeting.
But the initial start of this, it shows 30 days, Deepan, so that's why I mentioned it. So yeah. Any questions, team?
Yes, Deepan and Praiseson. So actually, I do work on Azure DevOps. In my work experience, actually, I've been thinking about a case where why we need two separate pipelines. Like even in the build pipeline, we could able to release it, right? Deploy to the Azure App Service, something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my question is, what is the difference between? What is the advantage of having two separate pipelines? Because in my work case, I had a web app front end view and then Node.js backend. So both as Node modules. So I need to before building it, I need to have a task for npm right? Npm install. So it just accumulates all the node modules in it. And when I do the artifact size is huge. And same artifact goes to the release pipeline. So it takes more time to get transferred. And again, I need to unzip it in the release pipeline. So for this case, what I did in the build pipeline itself, I just deployed the whole folder itself. So it took less time comparatively. So,
Right,
is
so
that the better approach or?
It depends on people on how they use it, Venkatesh. Like for example, people who are very familiar with YAML pipeline, so they would just go with the YAML. The benefit of using YAML is that you would have all the things needed for the build and deployment have in one place. So the release step as a separate area is for those who can visually manage things and configure things. But if you are people sometimes find it difficult to configure everything using the YAML pipeline. So for that purposes, they go with release stuff so that they can visually see and select things and manage where things have to go. So they don't have to depend on the YAML file. There are other advantages like you can have a sequence or check-ins. Like for example, if in your YAML you can have jobs under which basically the first thing is the stages. So you would have different stages, just like how you have that in the release. You would have different stages within your YAML file, and with each stage, for example, the first stage could be the build stage, and then the second stage could be deployment to your test environment, and then third stage could be deployment to UAT, and then fourth could be deployment to prod. So this way, it would give you more organized way of managing things. For example, Once the pipeline is complete, it will automatically be deployed to the test environment. And for UAT and prod deployment, you would require gated check-ins. For example, your manager should approve the pipeline to continue the deployment to the UAT environment, or the other the release manager should approve the pipeline for the deployment. So all these steps can be managed within the YAML file and doesn't have to go between release and YAML stuff. So basically, what you have in release, all these steps can be done within the YAML file itself.
Single.
So,
Okay.
does it
So
answer?
in my use case, that seems to be better, like having in one pipeline itself, because the same thing which I described earlier.
Right.
So it's
Honestly, we are
saved.
using that approach as well. So we have a
Okay.
large YAML file using which we are, have multiple stages. And just like how you, how Praiseson introduced these stages like canary deployment and other stuff, the same can be done onto your YAML file as well. So you could have your deployment stage, and within that you can have your canary or blue-green, whatever the deployment model is. So you can have those. But the thing is that people find it sometimes, cumbersome to deal with the YAML file. So they want to go with UI stuff. So if you are comfortable and want to have more organized way of managing the pipeline, I would suggest YAML would be the right,
Okay.
stuff.
Okay, Deepan,
Does that
thank you.
answer your question?
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Venkatesh. So, any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, all, for joining, and thank you so much for the wonderful session, Praiseson.
Thanks all.
We'll all meet tomorrow. And it's Deepan and Praiseson signing off. Thank you all.
Thanks.